There we go. We're live. I'll change that.
You're not the chosen
Hey,
one.
yo, everybody. Welcome to Nerd Fights.
May thy
That
knife
sounded
chip
weird.
and shatter.
What's up?
It's
How
a
you doing?
lightsaber.
Welcome to
You
Nerd
idiot.
Fights.
It's a
You sound like you were
metaphor.
trying to sound like
You
Jack
idiot.
Black there.
Welcome to the
This
Nerd
is where the fun
Fights. How you doing
begins.
today, man? Good sauce, my friend.
Silence.
So how you doing, man? What's up in your world? Haven't seen you since, well, I guess last night.
Hasn't really been that long at all. So not much has happened since then. Although, so I have a question for you. You've seen Doom.
I hate you!
Yes. And you've seen the Star Wars prequels.
So we good here?
Who wins in a fight? Anakin Skywalker or Paul Atreides?
Anakin.
Just as the prophecy foretold.
So here we have, I'm going to show you the definitive answer.
You're not the
here.
chosen
I figured
one.
that'd be a good thing to do while we're waiting for the first few people to come
May
in.
thy
You ready
knife
for
chip
this?
and shatter.
Yeah, I guess.
It's a
Where's
light-
it gonna be?
All right, so we see there's Anakin, right?
You're not the chosen one.
I guess.
May thy knife chip and shatter.
It's a lightsaber, you idiot.
It's a metaphor, you idiot.
All right, so you can see the sides are set up.
Okay.
All right, Anakin's got his lightsaber. Paul's got his knife.
If Paul
This is
wins,
where the fun begins.
BS.
Okay, so I figured that Anakin's, Paul's going to do something like, show off his really cool moves, but then Anakin's going to just like swing right through the knife because he's got a lightsaber and cut him to shreds, right?
Okay.
Is that what you're thinking?
Well, that or use the. I don't know. If I was Anakin, I'd use the Force, but
Okay.
whatever. You know.
All right. Are you ready?
Yeah, I guess.
All right. So not look good for.
Clearly, Paul Atreides is going to win this. This is ridiculous.
All
Okay.
right. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right.
Your pants. More.
Not a fan. You and your poop. You and your poop.
I hate you! I hate you!
So we good here?
Just as the prophecy foretold.
What the heck? This is you, man. You got a really weird sense of humor. I'm just not into the poop jokes like you are. I guess I don't know. But whatever. My goodness.
You're just no fun whatsoever.
You know, speaking of no fun, later we'll get to today's sponsor, Criticlist, in between, probably at the halfway point. But I tag you on Criticlist to try to get your attention in reviews and movie lists, and you never seem to. You never seem to reply.
I'm horrible about that. But
We had a discussion. I was talking on somebody else's review, and they brought up The Room, and I wanted you to join in that conversation because it wasn't on any of my or yours or my reviews.
right.
So I tagged you in the comments, and you're there, but you didn't show up to defend yourself.
Sorry, you could have texted me and said, "Hey."
Yeah, I guess I could have, but I put up my my review of Star Trek 2009, and I'd really love you to read it and comment on it. And even though on the show a couple weeks ago, because we had that horrible intermission for a week with that other movie that shall not be named from Gene Roddenberry. I said I would give it a 20, but 20 actually took it out of the heinous category. So I had to give it a 19%. So I gave it a 19. And I wrote a pretty lengthy review, even though I kind of repeat a lot of what I said in the review. And I also posted the link to our video. But had a couple people really agree with me. So I'd love you to join in on that conversation when you get a chance later.
And yes, Stan, you are 100% correct.
Oh gosh. Well, you know your crowd for sure. You know. Hey, this in honor of you, I have permanently affixed this little poop emoji to my microphone because
Right. See, so you're which just shows that you're talking
shit. There you go.
yes.
Yeah.
So, I'm glad that you agree with me. That, basically, so I win all the arguments from now on. It's official. I should get one of those to put on my microphone too, so I can kind of be matching. I think
Actually,
I have something
I got
like
this
that
from a
here.
job fair. Can you believe that? One of the companies that was at
Oh,
the
that's
job.
always good. Hey, I'd like a job. Here, take this.
No, it was like the waste management company. I didn't even apply. I just saw all the poop emojis on the table, and I thought of you, and I was like, oh, I got to get one of those. And I just snagged it.
Glad that I inspired thought from you when you see a poop emoji.
Always. It's sad. Every time I stand up to flush the toilet, I think of you. It's terrible.
So Danny says he's skipping the Acolyte and Skeleton Crew, but not season 2 of Andor nor the new Lego Star. Now, the new Lego Star Wars special does look kind of funny. It does have Darth Jar Jar in it, so that alone.
I don't even know what the Skeleton Crew is. I do not plan on watching Acolyte.
You see, because you'd never follow me on frickin' X.
What the hell is Skeleton Crew? Is it another Star Wars cartoon or something?
So this Amy Imhoff person is all mad. She says, "Are you effing kidding me with this? Are you serious right now? Can we sue? I'm suing because here is the official synopsis of Skeleton Crew. It's about a group of kids that find a buried spaceship on a boring planet, accidentally turn it on, get blasted off into the galaxy, and it's a story about them trying to find their way back home."
Oh, is it animated?
Well, there's just like some concept art, but I don't know. So, but anyway, so she basically, because she's a big Star Trek, like, influencer, whatever. And so she, I couldn't find that she's actually done anything. She just likes to promote, like, oh, women are awesome and Star Trek is awesome. And so fine, whatever. And so, but she's like, can we sue? I'm suing because she thinks this is a ripoff of Prodigy, right?
Hey, I just want to say I got a couple people over in my mom and Planet X. Thank you guys for joining me on my channel. Remember, most of the chat happens on his, but thank you for your support. I appreciate it.
So my response to Amy that I posted on X was, problem is, if you sue, they can countersue since Prodigy looked, felt, and played out like a Star Wars kids show. So I say call it even. They ripped you off, ripping them off.
Okay. Anyways, back to Donnie's thing here. I am going to watch Andor season 2 because I like season 1. And that's it. Out of everything he mentioned there, Andor is the only thing I'm going to watch. So,
no, we're going to watch The Acolyte.
No.
Yes.
You can. But
no, we are watching the... Dude,
Brian, welcome to the show.
No. Stop trying to deflect. It is our duty to watch these things even when we don't like them.
You always got poop on the brain. What's with you and duty? No, we're good. We're not watching that crap.
Duty, not duty.
We're not watching that crap.
It's all right, dude. It's happening. Get over it.
Oh man, see, he just wants to fight.
We're watching freaking Discovery, and actually, it hasn't been that bad. So,
are you out of your mind? Oh my god! They have one decent episode, and it's not that bad. What? It's shit. It's utter crap. It's garbage. It's garbage. The last episode was a bottle throwaway bullshit episode in the final season where there's only 10 episodes. It's a way. Don't even. We're not talking that tonight. We're talking this.
We'll talk about Discovery tomorrow night. But
yeah.
So from that crap to this crap. So. So Star Trek Into Darkness. Do you have a hot take for Star Trek Into Darkness?
Yeah. So remember, everyone, we do these watch-alongs, supportsalty.com. This one's not up yet. It will be up after our review today. So if you're fortunate enough to be one of the members to watch that, I'm going to repeat a little bit of what I said yesterday, but not the money shots. You got to pay for those.
Yes, he literally gets up and starts.
Oh, whatever. Hush. So, something funny happened. I saw back when this movie came out, I was doing a lot of movie reviews for a pretty popular website and local comic book shop. And so I got to go to press screeners and things like that in exchange for writing reviews. And back then, this was 11 years ago. And I wasn't a big drinker back then, but I was a huge pothead. And I got really stoned before going to see this in the theater. And I left the theater on a high. Apparently I loved...
Literally.
Yeah, that too. Apparently I loved this movie because while we were getting started yesterday, I pulled up that review, which I have since taken down from all the sites I have the ability to do that at. So it might still be out there somewhere, but I hope not, because I am so not that guy anymore. Because that review, I'm just blowing this movie. I called it the best Star Trek. I was clearly high. I called it the best.
Well,
Star
yeah,
Trek
you said
movie ever.
it's your favorite Star Trek movie.
I said it was my favorite Star Trek movie.
You probably cried multiple times. Like when Pike died, when Kirk died, you probably cried both times.
So I watching this movie yesterday,
and we got a
super chat.
But it looks like for some reason the layer.
Oh, Planet X. Yes, he's the one that reminded me I needed to leave work early today to make the thumbnail. So thank you for that friendly reminder, and you're welcome. But thank you more because I was just in work mode and totally spaced on doing the thumbnail. So thank you for that reminder. So kind of back.
Yes, back to where you were.
Oh, my boss is texting me. Anyway, sorry. So anyways, look, it's not Star Trek. It's just not a Star Trek movie.
Right.
And I said about a dozen times yesterday while we were watching it that if I don't think of it as Star Trek, it can be somewhat enjoyable. But as far as it being a Star Trek, it's terrible. It's
Right.
terrible.
Is that it?
That is it. And while you're giving your hot take, unfortunately, I have to call my boss. It's one of the bad things about having a job. I'll be right back.
So I'll say this is that I kind of agree with some of what Danny's saying. I think I don't remember if I said this when I do think I said this when we were watching the movie yesterday. Post Star Trek 6, I think this is the best made, best written, best acted, best produced Star Trek film. But much like many of my problems with First Contact, Insurrection, and Nemesis, it doesn't feel like, this is not Captain Kirk, Mr. Spock. These are characters have the same names, but they're not behaving correctly. And thank you again, Planet X, for $2 super chat. It is not Star Trek at all. Yeah, and see, that's the problem, is that granted, they can hand wave away most of our complaints by saying, well, it's an alternate timeline. And I will grant that. It is an alternate timeline. But it's an alternate timeline that ultimately I'm not all that interested in, because this Captain Kirk is everything that people thought Captain Kirk was when they were incorrect. This Captain Kirk is literally, we first see him in this movie sleeping with two aliens at the same time. This Captain Kirk is breaks the rules just because he doesn't think they should apply to him, and says as much. And this again for the second time, and this is, by the way, another big problem that I have with the Kelvin timeline films, is this is an anti-military film. Admiral Marcus, his great sin, the thing that he's trying to do that is so horrible, it's not because, well, it's technically kind of a Section 31 story, but their version of Section 31 isn't like the Deep Space Nine and Enterprise Section 31. Like Section 31 and Deep Space Nine and Enterprise was this super secret organization that did like assassinations and espionage and stuff like that. But no, what Marcus is trying to do, and they say this in dialogue, his goal is a militarized Starfleet. And so to me, it's like, wait, that's as stupid as if I said that, you can't elect Donald Trump because he wants a militarized army. It doesn't make any sense. Because, yeah, Starfleet is the Federation military. And I know people don't like that assessment because they think that's, oh no, it's not. It's they're like peacekeepers, and they're not. It's like, look, if the Borg attack, who do they call? There's nobody else to call but Starfleet. Yes, it's true that individual Federation worlds have their own independent militaries, but Starfleet is the Federation military. And while Starfleet the Federation is non-expansionist, so they're not going out on active campaigns trying to conquer the Romulans or the Klingons or anything like that, but they are absolutely the primary defense of the Federation. Nobody else. And it just, it makes no freaking sense to me to try to turn these movies into anti-military propaganda. I find it insulting as a veteran, and I also find it insulting to the legacy of TOS. And
well, wait a minute. If I heard you right, because I just got off, I only heard the tail end, and I got to tell you about what just happened. Gene Roddenberry was anti-military, wasn't he? I mean, he didn't want Star Trek going down that
Gene
road.
Roddenberry served in the military. No, and
I get that. I'm talking about as far as Star Trek goes.
Okay.
I must have missed the first part. I apologize.
Right? No. It's okay. No, keep in mind, you're right. Gene Roddenberry was kind of anti-military, but that never surfaced in TOS because he didn't have creative control over TOS.
Wow. I got ABJ. I said that so many times yesterday. It's just Star Wars. It was, in fact, in my review, I love how I put it in my review. If you don't mind, I'll just read it. This dumpster fire is a misguided attempt at reviving a beloved franchise that ultimately falls flat on its warped nacelles. Directed by the infamous J.J. Abrams, this film serves as little more than a glorified audition tape for his latter disastrous foray into the Star Wars sequels. This movie is Star Trek in name only. That's how I start my review. So there's my hot take. I should have just read that for my hot take. There you go.
Yeah.
Well, that was for 2009 Star Trek, but it still applies to this movie, really.
Well, but like my main point here was that this film, the premise of this film is an anti-military message, and TOS was extremely pro-military, to the point where TOS tried to, and ironically, in a story written by Gene Roddenberry, tried to justify the Vietnam War in A Private Little War. TOS attacked the peace movement in The Way to Eden. All right. TOS was very pro-military throughout. What they weren't is, they were anti-racism and discrimination and stuff like that. But people forget that the TOS was made in the 1960s. In the 1960s, just 2 years before TOS premiered, the Civil Rights Act passed by an overwhelming Republican vote. The Democrats were anti-civil rights.
Do you really want to go down that, get sidetracked about politics?
Well, I'm just
I got no shortage of opinions on that.
No, I understand, but my point about it is that TOS was not this, this ultra liberal bastion that people think it was.
Happy day. Oh, your thumbnail's not the normal, but that's fine. It's okay. But hey, Ariel's here. She called me Sork, but that's okay.
I think that's a better name for you.
Oh, she says she's doing horribly. I'm sorry. Oh, no, this is terrible news. Well, we'll try to cheer you up with our witty banter and our incessant argument.
We have witty banter?
Not really, but we'll try to put our A game on for her today to cheer her up.
Okay. Well, we could re-show the Anakin versus Muad'Dib video.
Speaking of Vietnam, she says the doctor was going to napalm her stomach ulcers today, but it was pushed back. So
I'm not sure what that means, to napalm your stomach ulcers, but because a good stomach ulcer feels like napalm. So I'm not sure.
I love a good pun, especially when it has to do with me. Thanks, Daniel. Good name, by the way, Daniel. It's a good, strong biblical name.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Vietnam was not great, but whatever. I'm sure that's sarcasm.
Well, Daniel, but you see, like, if you listen to the message of episodes like A Private Little War, the point of Vietnam, at least from Kirk's perspective, was not that war was great. And in fact, the show was kind of anti-war. If you look at, anti-needless war, I guess you could say. If you look like other episodes like Taste of Armageddon, where Kirk is talking about how death, destruction, disease, that's what war is all about.
No, hold up. If you're going to do it, death, disease, destruction, horror, that's what war is, Councilman. That's what makes it a thing to be avoided.
Right.
You gotta do it like that.
Sorry, I'm not doing it. First of all, that's a horrible Shatner imitation.
I know it's a horrible Shatner, but it doesn't matter.
But
did you read this other super chat from Planet X?
Yeah.
Was that while I was on the phone with the boss?
You were on the phone when you.
Sorry about that. Okay. Go ahead.
But yeah, so so they were anti-pointless war, like when you look at episodes like Taste of Armageddon. But in Private Little War, what Kirk was explaining to Bones in that is that by having these proxy wars like we did in Korea and Vietnam, we avoided a direct confrontation between the United States and the Soviet Union, which may well have destroyed the planet. So better to have a proxy war in Vietnam than to have an all-out conflict between the superpowers. And that was, I think, Kirk's point. Like, it was better to furnish Tyree with flintlocks than for the Federation to go at it with the Klingon Empire.
Yeah. Hey, ABJ, thanks. I appreciate that. See, that's.
Yeah, he's trying, all right.
Yeah.
But the wrong spelling of trying.
Death, disease, destruction, horror. That's what war is, Councilman. That's what makes it a thing to be avoided. Sorry. It's so bad I laugh at myself. I don't know. To me, that's what
death, disease, destruction, horror. That's war.
He says it like with an A. Horror.
Sabotage.
Sabotage. Yeah.
Yes. So.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet, Stan Lee. Was it good? Let me know in the comments if it was good or not. And tell me how you watched it, because I think it's a paid only thing right now. Yeah, please let me know.
What I like is there was a video on YouTube of Shatner criticizing people imitating Shatner. And even when people like do a perfect imitation of him, he's like, I don't sound like that. What are you talking about? You know, so.
Speaking of Ariel's comment here about Afghanistan, the only pull-out game worse than mine is America's when it comes to Afghanistan. I'm here all night. Don't forget to tip your waitress.
That wasn't even funny.
I know it's bad. Like I'm just on a roll with the bad jokes tonight.
I mean, I think
I am talking into a poop emoji. There's that also.
Yes, because your mouth is full of. Wow, we didn't need the ASMR part.
Okay, I know it's streaming, Stan. Where is it streaming? I know you got to buy. I don't think it's free on anything. You got to pay for it, right? Let me know. Oh, look at this. Nice.
Yeah. Dork wins Shatner. Well, I'm not trying to be Shatner. I'm just me. I'll be authentic.
You do that. So before we get into this, my boss was just giving me grief. First of all, I'm technically supposed to be off, but as I keep getting reminded, I'm salary, so technically I'm never off.
Right.
And I'm like, bro, do you watch football? Because he was giving me grief. He's like, man, it seems like you're always on a podcast. I'm like, dude, 3 nights a week. I give you the heads up. I told you this before I was hired. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 6 to 9. And then I have AA from 10 to 11. So basically, I'm off the clock. Once 5:45 hits, I'm done. That's more than fair for those 3 days. Okay, and he's giving me grief, man. You need to take blah blah blah. And I'm like, bro, do you watch football during football season? He's like, yeah. Why? I was like, okay, so what's the difference between me doing a podcast and you watching football on Sunday, Monday, and Thursday? Give me a break. You know what I mean? Okay, man, whatever.
So Brian asked, do you think Hollywood is in an anti-America mood right now? Hollywood has been in, I think, because Hollywood was pro-America in the 80s. And you kind of saw the swing happen in the 90s. And now they're very, very anti-America. Now, don't get me wrong. I think that it's not that Hollywood really gives a crap. They're just following where they think the trends are. Because 80s, think about it. 80s was the decade of Reagan.
America.
And people were very, very, patriotism was considered an absolute virtue.
Maybe that's where because you're about a decade ahead of me, and I grew up that's why Ronald Reagan, Hulk Hogan, red meat, America. You know what I mean? Like, I miss those days.
Right. And so that was the 80s was very pro-America, period. And Hollywood reflected that. In the 90s, people were, doubting and stuff. And then we had 9/11 happen, and we had the housing crisis, and now people have no faith in our political system at all. And Chief, you know what? It's not your show. We could spend the next 2 hours just talking about the attitude of Hollywood. It's not your show.
Tell him, Salty, get him, yeah. Hey, look at this, ABJ. He's just gonna continue the conversation. So F you, Chief Cook. Yeah. Sorry. Is this true? What he says here?
China funds Hollywood movie. Well, in an indirect sense, yes, because what happens is China, the Chinese government controls what movies will be released in China. Like, you can't just make a movie and release it in China. It has to be approved by the Chinese government. That's why, by the way, I don't know if you remember,
they have alternate cuts of movies for China.
Right, like Iron Man 3. Yeah, Iron Man 3 is a big one. That's where I was going.
Yeah. We're on the same page.
Where, they actually created a character just so that it would be more appealing to the Chinese government so they could get it released. However, now it's harder and harder for Marvel movies to get released in China because they don't like the fact that Disney has been dominating the box office in China. And Unlike in the United States, the government actually has a hand in that. So it's not that the Chinese are funding Hollywood directly, but Hollywood likes that big, juicy Chinese market because it is a huge market. And you make a ton of money if you can get a movie released there and it becomes popular. So, so what they do is they try to downplay the America thing and make movies more internationally friendly now.
I'm getting triggered. If we don't stop talking about China, I'm going to go off on NAFTA and Bill Clinton and how we work with a communist nation, and it'll be bad. It'll turn into a totally different show.
We're not talking about NAFTA and Bill Clinton. We're talking about Hollywood.
We're talking about China. So let's get off that. Stan, let me guess. You're more interested in Mark Hamill's personal philosophies, aren't you? You bleeding heart liberal piece of beep. This guy right here. I don't want to hear it. I don't even want to know what service it's on now. I'll find it myself. You commie. He probably prefers the China cut of Iron Man 3.
Well, Ariel is also defending China, you know.
China is communist. All those little iPhones you guys love using, those are made in sweatshops by little 8-year-olds.
So is all the other phones.
So is everything else because of NAFTA, because of Bill Clinton, the worst president we ever had. Sorry.
You all right?
Yeah, I took a beat. I'm good now. I have to do that. Look, 65 days sober. I think I'm handling my little outburst pretty well. I stopped myself pretty quickly, and I almost said GD. My mom's here. I can't, try not to do that.
So
McDonald's, that's the barometer? Okay. God.
the problem with that, so look, I kind of understand what you're saying. China, I think, will eventually cease being a communist country, just like Russia did. But the process is not an overnight thing. So China is a communist country that allows some capitalist things in, such as McDonald's.
So,
however, that doesn't make them a capitalist country any more than it makes us a communist country because we allow iPhones.
Okay, so let's take this guy's advice and talk about the movie. And Brian, I wouldn't say Starfleet's evil, but the Admiral sure as hell is. Admiral RoboCop.
But remember, Admiral RoboCop is the head of Starfleet in this. They actually say it. Kirk says,
"What is it? A dictatorship now? Starfleet's a dictator." Well, it's just J.J. Abrams.
It's the military, it's the military that Scotty quits because it's a military mission. And when Scotty says that, oh my gosh, that is like the worst moment in the movie because Scotty's like, clearly this is a military mission. And it's like, yeah, who do you think they're going to send?
You stopped it. That's so funny because when we were watching, he says that you pause it and you kind of have the same tangent you're going on now. And I'm like, you realize literally the next line after you hit play is him saying, I thought we were explorers. And he has a point.
No, he doesn't.
If you look at the whole Gene Rod, first of all, if the Enterprise,
don't give me that Gene Roddenberry vision crap.
All right.
Because Gene Roddenberry's vision was he was trying to make a buck, and
Ariel,
Gene Roddenberry's vision is to do stuff about sex.
Hey, let's not talk about that. Rock Hudson movie. I can't do it. Ariel, I totally agree. Not just this movie.
I'm not even talking about the Rock Hudson. Remember, we talked about all the episodes that he wrote.
That too, yeah.
Yeah. So I wasn't even talking about that stupid Rock Hudson.
And no. Okay, Admiral RoboCop just wants to pick a fight with the Klingons because he's got a hard on for war. That's really all.
Right, he's a warmonger.
Yeah. And yes, Ariel, Scotty does suck, but he sucks in all the J.J. Abrams movies. And I like Simon Pegg, but I don't like him as Scotty. And I don't like him as a person either. The more I learn about his personal views, I liked him in older movies. He used Hot Fuzz and that zombie movie he was in, and
Shaun of the Dead.
Shaun of the Dead, yeah.
All right, so this one starts out on planet Nibiru, where we have a little mini adventure, and honestly,
3450 mark. We finally start the movie. Woohoo!
well, but no, let me say this: I think that the Nibiru thing, pad that out a little bit, do some writing on the backstory why they're there. This would be a better movie. Is just this.
This and then it ends with the movie I wanted to see was Kirk under Pike's wing as his first officer.
Right,
Remember
but
we get to that
this
part and I talked about
ends
that
with
yesterday?
Kirk getting busted.
Yes. So that could have been like in the halfway or the first act, and then the second act is Kirk under Pike's wing. Then the third act starts with Pike getting killed.
Well,
and
no,
Kirk,
no. I'm not even going that. No. You're getting me all wrong.
No?
The
Okay.
entire movie.
The entire movie
is the Nibiru stuff. And so the movie literally ends with Kirk getting busted down from captain to first officer and Pike taking the Enterprise. So that this movie ends with Pike in command.
Ariel, I'm going to blame the drugs you're on at the hospital right now for fat shaming my favorite starship. I'll let it slide.
Oh, no. I'm sorry. Stop defending an unhealthy starship. Stop. Just stop. Okay? That starship is going to collapse in on itself because of the weight of the saucer section. It's not healthy. It needs help. And
Now,
so,
Brian's got a really good point. It really is crazy. But when we get to the scene, I love the scene where Pike busts him down, and then I love the scene even more at the bar. Like, there are good scenes. Like that's what I was saying yesterday.
there's a couple of good scenes,
There's
but that's
good
what I'm saying.
moments. There's
this
good
whole
moments.
thing.
That's
well,
it.
that's the thing. This whole thing with Nibiru felt like that could have been a TOS adventure.
Yeah.
A little bit of tweaking. This it's kind of like you think about episodes like The Apple or other episodes where there's a primitive culture and they're concerned about trying to save the culture without violating the Prime Directive and stuff like that. So that's where this movie could have been, and it could have been a really good movie. And instead, it's just the opening half hour, and it's just there to kind of pad the story and to make Kirk have to bust him down somehow, but then he's only busted down for like 8 minutes. So
That's I guess it's kind of moves kind of fast.
and so the whole thing, and by the way, it could have also been, so it's actually only 10 minutes.
You go really fast, like you skip over the whole. I guess that's why you guys got to go to supportsolty.com.
Yeah, if they want to watch if they want to watch the whole thing, let them be supporters.
The starship underwater thing, it was so stupid. And
Yeah, it
unnecessary.
was, but this is where, for example, if you know how in TOS and TNG, it would be fairly common to start an episode with the ship approaching a planet.
Right.
Right. So you start the movie, instead of midway through the mission, you start the movie with them getting their orders to go there. And then they get there and they figure out that they can't use their transporters. And in fact, they can't even bring a shuttle down through the atmosphere for some reason. So they come up.
I think it was the ash from the volcano is the excuse they gave.
Well, yeah, but whatever the tech reason, you establish that early on and you make it painfully clear as opposed to one throwaway line.
So I'm going to forgive this question from Ariel because she apparently is on massive amounts of morphine right now. So she's probably going to be a little.
Oh, man, I wish you could share, Ariel. Although, honestly, morphine does nothing for me, so... I'm one of those people that I don't remember. It's like 10% of people or something morphine doesn't actually work on, and unfortunately, I've fallen that 10%. But so we and in fact, here's something that could be interesting. If you want to, you make it so that this part. Okay, so they complete the freezing the volcano and all that. and they get back to Starfleet Command, and let's say you take about half the movie for that. And then Kirk gets busted for violating the Prime Directive, and then under Captain Pike, or Admiral Pike, they go back to Nibiru to try and ascertain how much damage they did. And they find all these things where they're worshiping the Enterprise. And so they got to figure out a way to undo that. And that becomes the second half of the movie. And so
already a better movie.
Right. And so then at the end of that movie, Kirk comes up with a clever plan or whatever, and it manages to work. And that's why he gets the Enterprise back.
Actually, Ariel, the Prime Directive does go all the way back to the original series. They just didn't call it the Prime Directive.
No, they do call it the Prime Directive.
No, the first time they bring it up, it's called something else, because we've talked about this before.
It is. I remember he calls it the Prime Directive in the one. I can't believe I'm forgetting the Omega Glory. They actually call it, because Kirk says when that a Starfleet captain would give up his life, his ship, and his entire crew before violating the Prime Directive.
Yes.
Okay.
Before they referred to it as something.
Well,
it's kind of like with Starfleet, because they don't call it Starfleet until like.
Starfleet, it was called like Space Fleet Command and crap like that, But the Prime Directive is in the original series. They flesh it out a little bit in Bread and Circuses, where McCoy actually.
Thank you, Brian. That's what they called it. Starfleet General Order 1. That's what they called it originally.
Right. Yeah. I'm still thinking General Order 1 came later. I thought Prime Directive was the original name, but I could be wrong. But in Bread and Circuses, McCoy actually details it a little bit as far as what the directive actually states, which is that, you cannot reveal that there are other worlds, no talk about the Federation or Starfleet, that kind of thing.
Yeah. And guys, you went into a lot of detail about the Prime Directive and brought up many episodes of TOS referencing it and how Kirk did not. Wasn't this last week where people?
Yeah, last week we talked about that. I challenged people to come up with a time when Kirk actually violated the Prime Directive. And
you defended every single one of them. Pretty expertly. So.
Yeah, because Kirk, contrary to Pop, and that's what bugs me about this version of Kirk. Because this version of Kirk, he did blatantly break the Prime Directive. He didn't give a crap.
And then lied about it.
Yeah, then lied about it in an official report. Yeah. As opposed to, which is something that people thought Kirk would do, but Kirk never did. And so but the Prime Directive is not, so the Prime Directive is dealt with very seriously in the original series, but in episodes like The Apple and stuff, Kirk has to weigh whether or not the Prime Directive actually applies. How do thrusters work underwater? Thrusters could easily, you do know that, like, for example, we launch missiles from submarines that are submerged.
Yeah, but it is the reason, to go back to Ariel's question. I kind of blew off being a jerk. The reason it was stupid is because they could have easily stayed in orbit out of sight of the indigenous people and not what breaks the Prime Directive is the fact a massive starship comes up from their ocean right next to the cliff where they're all standing and can see it.
As Pike expertly put, a civilization that has barely invented the wheel sees a starship rising out of the ocean.
Yeah.
And so that's where the Prime
I like
Directive.
Greenwood. I really like Greenwood's Pike.
But that's where that's why I've paused it right here. This is the result of that violation of the Prime Directive. And so it's not that, Ariel, it's not that I don't have a problem with the Enterprise functioning underwater. I don't have even though it is kind of stupid. It shouldn't, it's not designed for being submerged. And Scotty even mentions that in dialogue in the in the movie
when Kirk and McCoy are beamed onto the ship. It's Right.
And no, the missiles can But here's the thing. But missiles. The point is missiles can work underwater.
So for those who are just listening, Salty's answering Brian's question on subs. Don't the missiles get shot out like torpedo
I'm not an
tubes?
expert on submarines. You talk to Darren Wagner about that, but
Did I tell you that fool blocked me on Twitter?
Darren did.
Yeah.
Why?
What the hell did I do? I don't know. I didn't do shit to him.
I mean, I understand why he blocked me. He's mad at me.
I'm guilty by association, apparently.
That could be. Yeah. But anyway, and look, I'm not no insult to Darren. He is the expert on submarines, so I would say talk to him.
Even though he thinks the Earth is flat, but that's fine.
Hey, maybe that's why, because you mocked him about the flat Earth thing.
That could be it. That could be it.
That is kind of a sore spot for him. Okay. But hey, if you don't want to be mocked, don't tell people you believe the Earth is flat. I mean, I just got to be honest. Look, I understand if you genuinely believe it, fine, but don't get pissed off that people are going to laugh at you because it's something that everybody laughs at. So don't, it's like if you're going to go around saying, the world is flat like a pancake, if you remember the old Bugs Bunny cartoon where they said that. But if you actually want to say that that's fact, don't be surprised when people mock you for it. That's all I'm saying.
ABJ, the answer to that question is no. In fact, that comes up where Spock... in the first, the 2009 movie.
In the prime timeline, no, Kirk did not lose his father. And Spock said that, in Star Trek 2009, how he saw Kirk take command of the Enterprise. He was there.
Yeah.
But the...
And Brian, to answer, so Brian's asking, do I think Kirk was wrong to save the people on the planet? I do. In fact, I made that argument last night during our watch along, supportsalty.com.
I think the way, here's my problem with it. Do I think Kirk was wrong to save the people on this planet? No. Do I think the way they wrote it was wrong? Yes.
He interfered with the natural evolution of the planet. The natural evolution of the planet was for that volcano to kill everybody on it, and then life started anew. They had no business being there in the first place.
That's not the prime directive.
That is the prime directive.
It is
You're not supposed to interfere.
You're
not supposed. Ooh, I'm going to Google it. You're not supposed to interfere with the natural evolution of a planet. That's part of
you're not supposed to interfere with the natural evolution of a society, not a planet. And so if a planet is unstable, you can save the people, but not interfere.
Okay. The prime directive, also known as Starfleet General Order 1 and the Non-Interference Directive, is a guiding principle of Starfleet that prohibits its members from interfering with the natural development of alien civilizations.
Yes, alien civilizations, not the planet.
I mean, the planet is their civilization as a whole.
No, the planet is not their civilization. The planet is the environment from which their civilization is on. And so
this is why we call it Nerd Fights. This is what people tune in for, because I disagree wholeheartedly.
You can disagree all you want, but if a civilization is about to be completely, for example, look, there have been multiple times in Star Trek, where
54.5, that argument makes more sense.
Think of For the World is Hollow and I Have Touched the Sky. The Enterprise is actually dispatched to deflect an asteroid that's going to wipe out a pre-warp civilization. And so, so in that episode, they are actually specifically sent to save a doomed planet.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Look,
They
I'm
just
gonna
can't
concede so we can move on. I'm going to concede so we can move on.
Because you know I'm right. At that point, because as soon as I bring up The World is Hollow for I've touched the sky, you know that I'm or not that one. What's the one? That's the wrong one. Although that did happen in the one with Miramani, Paradise Syndrome.
Paradise Syndrome.
Yeah, in Paradise Syndrome, they had to deflect. That's the one I was actually thinking of. They had to deflect the asteroid to save a pre-warp civilization.
Yes, but that there's see, you want to argue this. There's an asterisk because that one had some type of technology that was put there.
They didn't know. They did not know about that at the time. They did not know.
Okay.
Remember, they found the obelisk after they beamed down to the planet, and they were talking about how they had to deflect the asteroid.
Right. Okay, you're right.
Okay. So they thought their mission was just to save a civilization that was doomed. If the prime directive actually meant environmental hazards, then that mission would have never happened.
Okay, so Daniel says I won Shatner and that you won Prime Directive. Let's carry on now. You win. Okay. We're even. We're 1-1.
But yes, better movie would have been this whole thing was about the Prime Directive. And so they contaminate the society, and now they got to go fix it.
I don't mean to keep it up, but I got to make the crowd happy. We've got a question here from Ariel. So if they can stop a world-ending event, then why shouldn't Starfleet go ahead and just talk with these primitive people?
Because they don't want to change the natural development of the society itself. They don't want to, for example, they could give these primitive people medical technology, and they could give them phasers, and they can get them all that, but they're not ready for it. And so what happens? They weaponize it. They wipe themselves out. I mean, imagine if right now, you gave people phasers in the streets of the United States of America. You know, what the heck happened? Did you move it?
Yeah, I'm trying to. I probably can't. I wanted to get to the. Damn it. It was just a second before that. Remember when they literally throw their religious scrolls down right before they start drawing?
Oh, yeah. Here, I'll go there. Let's see. Now that you messed it up.
And there's their religious scroll right there.
Yeah, and so then he turns around, and they're like, What's going on? We'll pause it for a minute.
Don't play too much.
Yeah.
God forbid we get in trouble. Like a million other channels can show 10 minutes of shit.
Well, but the thing is, it's like we're promoting it. So, you know.
Yeah, I know, right?
I mean, so, yeah, you see, he's like, what? So right here.
Whoa.
Yeah.
The music. Yeah, the music will get us.
But this right here, this is the violation.
Yes.
Okay.
That is, right
you know,
there.
And so and you know, how hard would it have been, by the way, for the Enterprise to have been, say, 100 miles offshore?
Or orbiting the...
Well, no, if they say they can't beam down because of tech.
They can use a shuttlecraft. That'd be a lot easier to hide than a starship.
Yes, I know. But I'm just saying, if they had
the bottom
to hide
line
them,
is J.J. Abrams, who doesn't give a fuck about Star Trek, just wanted the shot of the ship coming out of the water.
Well,
That's
it is a nice shot. Look at that. That is beautifully done. All right. So, yeah.
Ariel's just not going to let us move on. She wants to know, why is this a violation? If the people only think it's a god, it shouldn't affect them. I kind of, that's kind of...
because
that's the morphine talking, honey. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Okay, so right here you can see they threw the scroll on the ground. They
threw the scroll down. That was funny when you pointed that out.
Yeah.
Because I didn't notice that.
Yeah, which the scroll that they were all bowing down to about 2 minutes ago.
Yeah.
And you're right, Ariel. To these people, it's a sky god. But that sky god is Federation technology. Yeah,
but I mean, in her defense, they don't know that. So
right, but it's the same problem as look. They've now effectively changed their society in some way. Their society has now seen an actual starship rise from the ocean. This isn't like some mythological creature. They actually saw it. And so it will shape them for generations to come.
I mean, for millennia. Good Lord. Look, this might be considered blasphemy, but I do consider myself Christian. But let's think about that. Over 2,000 years ago, and we're still praying to Jesus Christ. So there's that. You know what I mean? There's religions on earth even older than that. You know what I mean? So this has long-lasting effects on this civilization, like thousands of years.
And here's
potentially.
and this is why I think it would be so powerful. And in fact, since you compare it to Christianity, I'll throw this out there too.
Okay.
One of the reasons that people are still worshiping, Yahweh, and AKA Jesus, AKA Allah, however you want to say it. The reason people are still worshiping that God is because events from the Bible actually happened. People witnessed it, and it changed people in a fundamental way, right? These people, they didn't hallucinate a starship. They saw a starship.
So Brian's
This
got
would
another
be-
question. If they didn't see the Enterprise leave the water, would we think everything's okay?
Yeah, they wouldn't have violated the Prime Directive.
They technically, since I'd already conceded,
The-
would
yeah,
not
they-
have, they would not have violated the Prime Directive.
Right, because we if the Enterprise had not risen out of the water right in front of them, then
and
they couldn't see the shuttle because of the ash cloud. They established that.
Remember, the whole reason they break the Prime Directive is to save Spock's life, by the way. We didn't
Right.
even touch on that. It's to save Spock's life.
Right,
So,
which and McCoy correctly said, hey, if it were Spock, he'd let you die.
yeah.
Because Spock would have followed the law,
Yeah.
and the and that, by the way, that's absolutely in character. That's not one of the things I would gripe about, because Spock would have let Kirk die. He wouldn't have liked it, but he would have let Kirk die, and so they had to write it so that Spock was the one in the volcano.
Yeah.
Or it absolutely could not work. But but yeah, so they're as far as the writing here is, the problem is that the Prime Kirk would have found a way to rescue Spock without violating the Prime Directive. That's what should have happened, as opposed to, them and there are ways to, like, for example, if you look at Bread and Circuses, Scotty uses the tractor beams to knock out power plants around the planet, causing mysterious power outage. So only those that know what's going on would figure out that it was the starship doing it. And he didn't violate the Prime Directive because he didn't reveal anything to the people.
What up, creep? Welcome to the chat. And yes, in this instance, the needs of the one outweigh the needs of the many.
Yeah, but like I said, if you look at and I assume this is the same in both timelines, but we don't really know. But in the Kirk specifically states in the Omega Glory that a captain would sacrifice himself, his ship, or his entire crew rather than and this is the oath of the captaincy is not space, the final frontier.
Yeah, we'll get to that at the end of the movie.
The oath of the captaincy is that you would sacrifice yourself, your ship, or your entire crew rather than violate the Prime Directive. And by the way, the primary duty of the captain of a starship is to maintain life and the safety of Federation planets. If you don't believe me, ask Matt Decker from the Doomsday Machine. All right.
So ABJ, which episode is he referring to here of Enterprise? I know you're not as well versed with Enterprise as you used to,
I'm not sure what episode
ABJ, if you could
is
tell us
talking-
if you could tell me the name of that, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, but we do know that it would have been interesting to actually to have them go back and try to figure out a way to repair the damage, disguise themselves as these people, learn how to use the universal translator so they can talk to them and figure out a way to fix it.
Season 1, ABJ, that makes me We should watch Enterprise instead of Discovery. It's been a while. We could do a
Dude,
watch
you know
on
what?
those.
Discovery's only got a few episodes left. Get over it.
Okay.
And then the show is over. You
And then
won't
it's over.
ever, yeah, you won't ever have to watch Discovery again.
And thank God I didn't have to go back and watch season 4. So
Yeah.
that's
But you do have the Starfleet Academy show to look forward to.
that's yeah. Okay.
Gotcha. All right, so then we get our opening credits, and we meet this guy. He's
Dumbass.
and his hot wife.
I won't get into it here, but if you want my take on what this guy does and what I would have done, it's on supportsalty.com.
Yeah. So this guy basically has a sick daughter, even though, I mean, and again, this is one of those problems. Like in Star Trek First Contact, Troy says that, after First Contact, within a generation, disease and poverty and stuff have been wiped out. So why is this little girl sick and dying?
And I'm going to repeat what I said yesterday. Tell that to McCoy's dad. Oh wait, he found a cure a week later. My bad.
Yeah. But it doesn't make sense. I'm just saying, I thought disease was all wiped out,
One, it doesn't, and two, this whole idea that Khan's blood is, a cure-all for death,
Yeah.
even,
Yeah.
can bring back the dead is just
Yeah.
asinine. I almost
Right.
said the R word, but it's on my list here of things not to say on your show.
Yeah, please don't say that word.
I didn't. I said asinine.
Unless you mean it in the technical sense. And here we get Kirk with two women. This scene makes me mad.
Move on. Yeah, no. Just
Yeah.
let's get back. Yeah.
And then we got, for some reason, they're wearing Gestapo uniforms now in Starfleet. I don't get this either. When they're at Starfleet Command, they wear these uniforms, but only when they're at Starfleet Command. Oh, Dear Doctor. Okay, yeah.
Oh, thank you, Digital Archive. Thank you, dear Doctor.
But yeah, that one was an interesting one, and of course there was no Prime Directive for that, so that was
because I believe ABGA here it is. Yeah, at the end, Archer monologues. If only we had a directive.
I think he actually said if we'll have some kind of doctrine.
Okay.
Is how he put, because they didn't want to say directive because that would be a little too on the nose.
This scene, another thing he pulls the same thing he does from the first movie. He was like, "Hello, ladies." Chicks walk by. Hey, ladies. It's like, come on, man. Like Kirk was not.
Yeah.
This guy is a caricature. I think I said that.
Right.
He's a
but
caricature.
look
of
at
William
these.
Shatner's
I mean,
Kirk.
look at this. Look at the hats.
I know, man. This is very
I mean, you know what they need to do? They need to play da 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 whenever they're because they look like the Empire.
They used. I pointed out yesterday. There's a couple times where they use musical cues that sound just like Star Wars ones. They have that whole scene with that ship of Harry Mudd's that looks like a Millennium Falcon fight.
Right.
Going.
So this best scene in the movie.
It's a good scene. Good scene.
Where Pike dresses down Kirk.
I like every scene Pike is in. Sadly, there's only like 4 of them.
Yeah. But yeah, Pike and this scene, honestly, when I remember when I first saw this movie, this scene made me think, oh, this movie's going to be good because they're busting Kirk, and now he has to earn his way back into the captaincy.
He's got to eat a little humble pie.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but
no, he basically 10 minutes after this, they hand him the keys to the ship again.
Well. To defend that, though, it's only because the Admiral planned to kill him and everyone on the Enterprise.
Yeah, I get that the Admiral was trying to use him.
Yeah, saying he was the perfect patsy or scapegoat or whatever you want to call him because, it's like,
he's a hothead and he.
Yeah.
But yeah. But Kirk even says, like, Pike says, that's, your problem. You rely on blind luck and you think the rules don't apply to you. And Kirk's response was, some of them shouldn't.
Now, I'm not going to read this because you told me not to say the
Creep,
N-word.
please don't use the N word there. The
Californians is how we refer to them.
Yeah.
Preferred vernacular.
I understand what you're saying, but please don't use that word because we want to be careful not to trigger the algorithm when it comes to those kind of things.
Oh yeah, I point out the Chief Cook. I pointed that out. Man, he's got some mutton chops on him in this movie. Pike.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think he looks fine, and Bruce Greenwood brings his A game as he always does. Bruce Greenwood is one of those actors that elevates every movie he's in. I mean, like he makes iRobot a better movie. You know,
I really liked him as Pike, and I got it when we were talking yesterday. I really got excited about the idea of seeing a show where we get at least an act where Kirk is his first officer, you know, gets to sit under that learning tree. I think that would have been good.
Right, but instead, he's his first officer for 5 minutes. You know, basically one scene Kirk is the first officer under Pike.
Yeah, one scene. And they're not even on the ship. You know what I mean?
And so that's which is horrible. Bruce Greenwood, man, they did him dirty. He deserved to die in the captain's chair. But I mean, like, imagine if think about this. So if you're going to do the Khan thing, imagine the weight of it if it's Pike that dies in the warp core and he doesn't come back.
Oh man, that would have been better.
Yeah.
Although I still argue this shouldn't have been Khan. They should have just left him as.
I know, but I'm just saying, if you want to do the Khan thing.
Yeah.
If it's Pike who dies in the warp core, you don't, and you don't have the magic blood.
Right.
And Kirk, being Kirk, is infuriated. He goes down to try and chase down Khan, and Spock is like, "Oh no, Kirk's going to die. I need to go down." And so then Kirk is chasing Khan. Spock is chasing Kirk. Khan beats the crap out of Kirk and almost kills him. Then we have Spock versus Khan in an all-out brawl because Spock thinks Kirk is dead. And that's the one thing that would set off Spock.
So Brian has an interesting question. That'll take us down another rabbit hole. You want to read that and maybe give an answer?
Would I characterize the Federation as democratic, socialist, communist republic, or some other type of society? Well, first of all, keep in mind that democratic can apply to capitalist, socialist, or communist. Okay? Just because all democratic means is that the people are electing the people in office. So you can have a democratic nation that is socialist or communist or a republic like the United States. And so Starfleet or the Federation is clearly a democratic body. And so we do know that much.
I mean, little d, big S, I think. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I would say it's probably it's a democratic. I don't know if I would say socialist, or it's like a capitalist communist hybrid society, because on the one hand, everything your basic needs are all provided, thanks to the fact that you're in a post scarcity environment. It doesn't seem like they're, and Troy even says it, like in First Contact, things like disease and poverty and stuff are gone because they're beyond the need for bare raw materials. However, I also think that people earn money, contrary to popular opinion. There are rich people and not rich people. I wouldn't call them po, like they're not. There's nobody in poverty, but there are people that are wealthier because not because daddy handed them the keys to a starship like we see with Kirk, but because they worked their way up.
So that's an interesting take ABJ has. More like NATO, but they do have a Federation president. He was, remember Red from that 70s show?
Yeah, there's a Federation Council, which serves much like the Senate, and there's a Federation president. And so there's at least two branches of government.
Yeah, and Chief, I brought this up.
Robert April doesn't appear. The first time we see Robert April in live action is Strange New Worlds.
Yeah, but in the Kelvin timeline, he just doesn't seem to be a thing because the Enterprise is built and it's immediately given to Pike. So
Right.
So in this Kelvin timeline,
Yeah,
for
Kelvin
whatever reason,
there's no Robert April.
yeah.
Or there was, but he never commanded the Enterprise.
Yeah.
Because they do say in Star Trek 2009, that was the launch of that ship.
Yeah. It's
But yeah, so the Federation does have a president. It does have the Federation Council. But I do think it's kind of like the UN in that the Federation Council is full of representatives from different planets as opposed to, like in the United States where it's, but and each planet has their own independent government from the Federation, much like the United States has state-level government and the federal government, right?
Yeah.
And
So here, we're a little over the halfway mark. I got to use the little boys' room as I often do. I'm going to let you talk about this week's sponsor and then push play on the ad when you're done. I'll be back.
All right. So, critic list. Do you hate critics? Because critics suck? Well, they agree, and that's why there's Critic List. It's a website, criticlist.com, where you can go and basically enjoy reviews posted by anybody who's a member at Critic List. So you don't have big name reviewers. You have people like me and Danny and anybody else that wants to join. You can be a critic on Critic List if you sign up today. And we actually have an ad from them, so let's check this out.
Today we celebrate the first glorious anniversary of the Information Purification Directives. You created, for the first time in all history, a garden of pure ideology, where each worker may bloom, secure from the pests of a contradictory thoughts. Unification of thoughts is more powerful a weapon than any fleet or army on earth. We are one people, with one will, one resolve, one cause. Our enemies shall talk themselves to death, and we will bury them with their own confusion. We shall prevail.
Nearly 40 years ago, we were promised a brighter future, something vastly different from Orwell's 1984. Sadly, what we have been left with is a near carbon copy of the novel's warnings. We are at a precipice. Do we continue to endure the propaganda, to be told how and what to think, or do we strive for something better? Join us and see why 2023 doesn't have to be like 1984.
Oh, yeah, that's a cool ad, except that they should have said 2024 since it's not 2023 anymore. We're almost halfway through 2024.
Yeah, I got to hit up Blaine, get a new ad. I didn't want to play the same one over and over again, but that's probably the last time we'll do that one. But I'm back. And join the fun on Critic List, guys. I love the social media aspect of it, even though Salty never gets his notifications when I tag him and stuff. But it's a lot of fun. I actually just added, because you can add movie lists and you can rank them when you do that. So I just added my Star Trek movie list. And
you saw my Star Trek list, right?
On Critic List?
Yeah. I have everything for Trek is listed in there. So every series and every movie, I ranked them all.
I haven't done that.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. Oh, the ultimate Star Trek list. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, later I'll compare and see where I'll add those. I'll do that. Yeah. But right now I only have the movies in there. And spoiler alert, if you want to see where this movie and Beyond fall on my list before we review them, head over to criticlist.com, search for Dork Knight LV, and check out my list.
Yeah, I might be sick next week. I don't know that I can watch Star Trek Beyond again.
I remember liking it, but I think I've only seen it the one time at the theater. But I remember, much like this
Everybody
movie, and I
liked
was
it.
probably stoned in your defense. I was probably
Well, the thing is, everybody liked it because and I'll tell you exactly what they liked about it. They liked the Dr. McCoy Spock scenes because
those were great. Those were good.
Yeah, and I grant you, those scenes were pretty good, but that doesn't mean that it was a good movie.
Creep agrees with you.
Yeah.
And so does ABJ. Well, you guys are have fun next week in the chat.
Yeah.
We'll see
Oh,
how that
I
goes.
found Beyond completely and utterly offensive, and that's why,
Life is feeling a little episodic. That was a cringe line. That was a pretty cringe line. I'll give you that, Stan.
The funny thing is much like this movie, though, the beginning of the movie where they had the little thing with the little tiny guys was the best part of the movie.
It made me think of Galaxy Quest for some reason. That was
Right.
very silly. But anyway,
It was very silly, but it was, it was the best part of the movie. So let me see. Where does Star Trek Beyond, let's see, Star Trek Into Darkness on my list is ranked number 16 out of 24 items.
yeah.
However, Star Trek Beyond is listed at number 22 of 24 items.
So on mine, which again are just the movies, I have, let's see, out of 13, we have today's movie, Into Darkness. I have number 9 out of 13, and Beyond as number 8 out of 13. And 2009 Star Trek is number 12 out of 13, because you're never going to convince me that Generations is not the worst Star Trek movie ever. So there's that.
Well, so guess what the two things, without looking, what are the two things that are below Star Trek Beyond in remember, my list includes movies and series.
Oh, Discovery and probably Picard, because you're a dick.
You are 100% right.
In that order? Or the other way?
Picard is number 23, Discovery is number 24.
Oh, okay, at least you put a little respect on Picard's name. Oh, that's funny.
So, and then Beyond is number 22. So can you guess what's number 21?
This one? No, you like this one. You like this one.
I already said this one is number 16.
Yeah. As much. No, you probably First Contact.
It is First Contact.
Yeah, you're such a dick. Nemesis is probably like number 12 or some shit like
No,
that.
Nemesis is actually number 17. It's low, but it's not at the bottom. But yeah, it's, Nemesis. So the Star Trek. Looking at the bottom part of the list, you have Into Darkness, then Nemesis is worse than that, then Insurrection.
Here we go. Here you go, guys. I'm
Yes.
going to put it in the chat.
Or you put the link to my ultimate Star Trek
To
list.
his ultimate list. There you go, guys. And it'll show up in both chats. If you want to check out Salty's ultimate list, there's a link.
Yeah. But yeah, the and by the way, each one has a little one paragraph review as to why.
Yeah,
it's
if you click on the thumbnail,
Yeah.
it'll give a little If you took the time to do it, so
I
you
did
that.
on
Okay.
every single one of them. I have some comment. Some of the comments are very short. Some are rather detailed. Like, for example, Star Trek Discovery. Thoughts on this? It exists. That's what I wrote. However, with Picard, I said this series undermines everything Star Trek ever stood for, all the way back to TOS, Starfleet, and the Federation stood for the pinnacle of human achievement, and then I went on to why this doesn't.
Right.
So some of them I'm detailed about, some of them I'm not. Like First Contact, I hate this film. That's my entire review of it.
All right. Well, that's, again, guys, that's criticlist.com. Let's get back to Star Trek Into Darkness. Part 2.
All right, so Kirk gets busted down to first officer, although he's still
No, not yet. No, not yet. They tell him in this scene he's going back to the academy.
He's going back to the academy, which is what he should be doing.
Yes.
Then meanwhile, we get Khan gives the Good his blood so he can save his daughter, and he blows up.
This is
building.
another good scene. I like this scene a lot.
Well, like I said, every scene Bruce Greenwood's in
Yeah.
is one of the better scenes. The bar scene is a good scene because, it's funny because this scene made Star Trek 2009 a better movie.
They gave her back to me. It sounded like Kirk saying it. He's like, they gave her back.
But I'm saying, like, the way that he describes how they first met and that happened in the last movie, and you kind of feel nostalgic towards the last movie based on the way Pike describes it.
Oh, Donnie, that's sweet. He's probably going to be like, who the fuck is Danny? But that's sweet nonetheless. I don't care for the guy, so that's fine.
Yeah.
He didn't say it like that. He goes, and you know why? Because you're not ready.
Right.
I was like, damn. You're not ready.
And the thing is, he wasn't.
He says you don't respect the chair. And you want to know why? Because you're not ready for it.
Right.
That was good. He's good, man. He's a good actor.
However, then they get an emergency call to go to Starfleet, and this is where I got a little perturbed at this conversation with Spock and Kirk, because Spock refers to Kirk as captain when he first sees him, and then he tells Spock how he got busted down, and he's now a first officer. But again, this is one of those things where they don't understand the difference between rank and position. Because even though he got busted down to first officer, notice on his shoulder, they don't change his rank, so he's still a captain.
Well,
Which
like
is,
I
by
said
the way,
last
perfectly
night,
fine. They could leave his rank as captain.
he probably just didn't have time to get new uniforms. He just got busted down earlier.
All
in
he
the
had to
day.
do was take one pip off.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
And by the way, I will tell you, and this is absolutely serious, if he walked into an official meeting wearing captain's pips and he was busted down to a commander, he is impersonating a flag officer. That is a massive offense. Like serious jail time kind of offense.
Oh, I want to answer this. Read this and let's answer this.
After watching more of Strange New Worlds Spock, do you like the movie Spock? No. Look,
I hate Zachary Quinto.
Zachary
Spock.
Quinto looks more like Spock, but Ethan Peck embodies Spock.
Yeah. He's a much better Spock.
Ethan Peck all the way. I don't care. Look, I understand if you're recasting a part, I don't expect I don't want to see a clone of the other person, right? If you find someone that does look like they could be related to the other person, fine. But I don't need someone that looks exactly like the other actor, because then I'm just going to expect the exact same character, but I shouldn't expect the exact same character because it's a different actor.
To me, it's more about the cadence, the voice, the character.
Right. But Ethan Peck, man, he gets Spock.
Yeah.
He does.
I can't take just this guy, Zachary, does not. He doesn't sound like Spock.
He
voice
sounds
is
like, "Hi, I'm Mr. Spock," and it's like,
Yeah.
no, you're not.
Yeah.
Because Mr. Spock has a very deep, resonant voice. Affirmative, Captain. He doesn't go affirmative, Captain. No, it's affirmative, Captain.
To prepare for the role, the guy should have been smoking like a pack of cigarettes a day for 6 months leading up to shooting. That might have helped. Might have helped.
But yeah, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying Zachary Quinto can't act. Loved him in Heroes.
I liked him a lot in Heroes as well.
Yeah,
he played
but
Psychopath Siler pretty well.
Yeah, but as Spock, no, he looks right. He doesn't sound right, and he certainly doesn't act right. But anyway, so Spock has Commander Pips on, Kirk has Captain Pips on, and then so Kirk says that he's the first officer now, And so now Spock refers to him as commander. But he's not a commander, he's a captain. And there is nothing wrong with him holding the rank of, well, he shouldn't be a captain because he hasn't even graduated Starfleet Academy. But besides that, they gave him a field commission to captain, and they let him keep it. So if
Pike's coming back to command the Enterprise,
he can be Admiral Pike.
Yeah.
Admiral Pike could be an admiral could be the captain of a ship. Because there's captain the position and captain the rank. They're two different things. And remember in Star Trek 5 and 6, Spock was captain. And so was Scotty.
And captain of engineering, yes.
But he held the rank of captain.
He did hold the rank of captain, yeah.
So you have 3 captains on the Enterprise.
But, Nicholas Myers always got rank,
He understood it.
Yeah.
Because he researched it. Something that
Wow! What a concept! What a crazy idea! Oh my God!
So they're in the meeting, and Admiral Marcus, who is the CNC now of Starfleet, is talking about it, and Kirk is like, "Hey, why bomb the archive? Makes no sense." And then just as Kirk figures out that, hey, he wants us all to gather in this room, and then. Just then, Khan shows up and starts blowing the crap out. John Harrison shows up and starts blowing the crap out of everybody in the room.
And Ariel, no, you didn't really miss anything. Just our ad for the sponsor. So that's a good pee break time, or well, not pee break. You know what I mean?
Puke break.
Yeah.
For her. Yeah.
Whatever it was. I hope you're feeling better, hon.
Well. Or at least I hope the drugs are taking effect.
Yeah.
So Pike takes 2 direct hits from that phaser, but somehow is not evaporated. It just hurts people really bad. And then this is kind of gut-wrenching.
Yeah.
Spock mind melts with Pike as Pike dies.
But what really almost got me. Thankfully, you paused it right in the middle of the scene, so I didn't cry. But Kirk's reaction is what got me.
Right. And then Kirk shows up a moment later and realizes that Pike is dead.
Can you maybe just play the scene without the sound? I don't know.
But you can't really do it without sound. But
no, not start. Yeah, I would have started like a few seconds later.
Well, but you get it. So.
He ugly cries, man. He ugly cries.
Yeah. Chris Pine does a good job here. Bruce Greenwood does a great job here. It's a good scene, but I said
this is his father figure, basically.
Right, and I said Chris Pine gets a good death scene. I just don't particularly like the way this movie played out.
Yeah,
there's your ugly.
Gosh, it was rough.
Like I said, Pine can act when he needs to. So then Scotty figures out that how he got out, that he had a transwarp beaming device. Which, by the way, so since that's a thing, why are starships even necessary?
Well, remember, Spock gave it to him, and the Prime Spock gave him this.
Yes, I know, but now they have it.
And then Scotty brings it up that they took it from him and made it classified, and why the hell is it showing up on this bad guy's ship or whatever?
Right. But I'm just saying, if he literally beamed from that ship to Kronos, what do they need starships for?
Right? That's gnarly. Like, why not just beam an entire army on the surface of a planet you want to attack and just surprise them? Yeah.
So...
There's so much wrong with this, like Star Trek.
So then Kirk goes to Marcus and says, "Give me back the Enterprise," and Marcus is like, "Okay."
Well, that's the only reason that works is because Marcus he's sending the Enterprise to its destruction. So why not send Kirk along? Can I have Spock back? Yeah, sure. Get rid of this guy. You know what I mean? So
I get,
that didn't bother me so much because there was.
Well, it bothered me because I remember when they were building up to this movie, they said, in the last movie, Kirk was given the Enterprise. In this movie, he earns it. No, he doesn't.
Not really.
He gets it taken away, and then immediately they give it back to him.
Yeah.
There was literally about 5 minutes of screen time where Kirk was not the captain of the Enterprise. So no, he doesn't earn anything. He just gets it handed back to him again because Pike dies.
Maybe he earns it by dying at the end. I don't know. Whatever. Gave the ultimate sacrifice.
I do kind of like the model ships that like the Wright brothers airplane, Spirit of St. Louis. It looks like a V2 rocket, some kind of advanced jet there.
Since the Klingon Empire is
And then we got lunar modules, the space shuttle.
planets that were
That almost looks like Elon Musk's rocket.
Hello.
And then we have the ring ship Enterprise. This is the official.
I'm interested. There might be something to that because they bring up Elon Musk in Discovery. Like, did they get some early schematics from him? I know this was 11 years ago, but
I don't know, but it does look an awful lot like a penis there at the top. So that could be Elon Musk's rocket.
Jesus.
Hey, I didn't design the freaking thing, okay?
And Captain John, you're preaching to the choir. We went over that ad nauseum in the last episode or movie. You know?
Yeah. But yeah, so the problem though with the ring ship, I mean, because these ships seem to be in chronological order, and the problem is that the ring ship comes ahead of the Phoenix. The ring ship should be after the Phoenix because
It should be.
because the ring ship was a warp capable ship.
Fired on our ships. Half a dozen.
And so we have the Phoenix, and then I can't remember what that next one is called, but you see it in the credits for Enterprise.
Is Thomas here? Thomas Potts?
Yeah, if he is, yeah, I know he knows. Yeah. Then you have the NX-01, the Kelvin, and finally the whatchamacallit, the big ass dreadnought that I can't remember the name. Like the Avenger or something like that. I don't remember something like that. But the big black ship.
Which really seemed like 100 years ahead of a technology of, you know what I mean? Like I was saying, it looked a lot like what's the
Vengeance? Thank you, Brian. Yeah, the
Vengeance. What's the class of
and Ariel?
First Contact. What's the Enterprise E? What class of ship is that?
Sovereign.
Yeah, this it has the deflector dish in that area. It looks a lot like the Sovereign class. You know. So
well, and I mean, granted, in the Kelvin timeline, the ships are also ridiculously big.
Yeah.
There's a lot of problems, but
yeah.
Anyway, but I do like all those models. I think those are cool. Although, why don't they have the Enterprise in there? I mean, because it seems like
you would think the Enterprise would be after the Kelvin before this one, but maybe he just doesn't like the Enterprise. This is his office, I'm guessing.
Right? Yeah. So yeah, he gets he basically. So they come up with this plan. And by the way, this hologram that he shows him, that's too advanced for the day, but hey.
Well, Ariel's got a good point. They might have gotten some tech from the future Romulan ship from the last movie.
Yeah, it's, but what's with your dog?
Let me go check. It's not my dog to clarify, but let me check.
It is your dog.
Carry on, though. I'll be right back.
It's Danny's dog. Don't listen to anything Danny says. It's his dog. He complains about the dog farts, but he likes it. He really does. He like smells it, and you guys don't see this because when we're not, broadcasting or recording, the dog farts, and he's like, "Oh yeah," it's weird. He has this weird thing about that. I don't get it, but hey. Yeah, anyway, and yes, Chief, I know midshipmen don't get command a ship, but in this universe, they do. Couldn't have got some tech from, already read that. Brian said, shouldn't Kirk and especially Spock wonder what the Vengeance model is? You would think, he'd be like, oh, hey, new ship? Why are the ships so big in this universe? Because bigger is better, apparently. And that's why Vengeance has some special technology. Could be, we know that Section 31, in this universe is basically just a group that's trying to militarize Starfleet, which again makes me really mad. And Chief, I don't think it's the writing that the reason the ships are big, because the writing doesn't really. I mean, you could have the ships be half the size they are and not change a single line of dialogue. Khan invented it. I'm not no. He didn't have the Enterprise model because it's foreshadowing how little he thinks of it. It could be. Let's see. Ariel says, wouldn't someone notice a space dock next to Jupiter, like some convoy ships delivering stuff to Pluto or whatnot? Well, it's something people don't realize, and that didn't bother me.
What do you mean, you people? Just kidding. Never mind.
Yeah. But that doesn't bother me so much, Ariel. I'll tell you why. And people forget about this, but space is really, really big. Like really, really big. You could easily hide a space dock. Think about this. They could have put that space dock on the far side of the moon and nobody would have seen it. Right? Unless you were scanning that area looking for it. So putting it out of Jupiter, where at the time they didn't have anything, nobody would have found it.
Not only is space big, but it's disease and danger wrapped in darkness and silence.
Your McCoy is even worse than your Shatner.
Oh, yeah, no, of course. Yeah.
Space is, what was it? Space is disease and danger wrapped in darkness. No, I thought it was...
Space is disease and danger wrapped in darkness and silence.
Okay. Militarize the military. Yeah, that's the evil plan, is to militarize the military. I'm not saying that they're using sensors just flying close. Yeah, they wouldn't be, but that's the thing. You're underestimating how big space is. You could send 1 million ships to Jupiter and not come within visual range of that thing.
This might end up being a two-parter like First Contact. We still got like 2 hours of this movie left.
Yeah, no, gotta hurry up. All right, so Dr. McCoy is trying to give Kirk a physical because he just finished. He was just in a firefight. But why doesn't he want to give Spock a physical? Spock was in the firefight too.
Superior Vulcan genetics. I don't know.
Yeah. And I do like,
or maybe Spock actually showed up, because remember there was a line earlier from McCoy where he's like, "You didn't show up to your physical." Blah, blah, blah.
I do like Spock's line here where he's like, "Oh, thank you for reinstating me as first officer. You're welcome. So now that I'm first officer, I need to strongly object to our mission."
Of course you do.
Yeah, and so I thought that made I actually like that.
Hey, anybody in the Vegas area watching want a dog? Because I just, she'll never notice. She'll never notice.
And then we're introduced to Carol Waller, a.k.a. Carol Marcus.
I almost used, you know what I'm talking about. I almost used that scene as the thumbnails. The still from that scene, I almost did. I actually have it in the Photoshop file as a layer. I almost used it. I really wanted to, but I didn't.
But yeah, so Carol is in this movie for no reason whatsoever. Except,
and then she gets assigned to the Enterprise at the end of it, yet she's not in the next movie.
Right. But yeah, the only reason she's in this movie is so they could do the underwear shot.
Oh, I should have used that as a thumbnail. And I haven't seen this chick since. We talked about this last night, and you were saying, she came out, criticizing that scene or whatever.
Right. She realized afterwards how the scene was just objectifying her.
Well, you know what? Go with what God gave you, lady. And you know what? You complained about it. I haven't seen you since. So maybe you should have kept your damn mouth shut. Just saying. Whatever. Toxic masculinity. I'm a product of the 80s. My bad, guys. My bad.
You are a horrible person.
Professional help is being sought. 65 days today, though.
Oh, 65 days sober.
Sober today. Jeremy D says she's too skinny. I mean, yeah, but
I
you
agree.
can have-
I think she needs.
Normally, I do agree, but sometimes you can have a lot of fun with them skinny girls. You can hold them up in certain. Never mind. Whoa, yeah, sorry, didn't let leave. Let's take that back. All right, let's go.
So she's actually been in 51 things. It's just
Do we know any of them after this movie? Like that's the real question.
She was in the Iron Fist TV series. I didn't catch that.
So she vanished into obscurity or mediocrity. Yeah. Okay.
So after Star Trek Into Darkness, because like before Star Trek Into Darkness, she was up and coming. She was in Men in Black 3. She was in The Raven. She was
I said after Star Trek Into Darkness. She
But
killed
then
her career of bitching and
after
complaining
Star
about-
Trek Into Darkness, she has Cold Comes the Night. Never heard of it.
Yep.
Paul McCartney, Queenie Eye, which is a music video. Nobody cares. Before we go, don't know it. Night at the Museum, Secret of the Tomb.
Probably had a bit part.
Yeah.
In Ariel, I probably would, but man, I'd have some fun doing it. Let me tell you.
Dirty Weekend, never heard of it. Entourage.
Is that like a Dirty Sanchez?
Dude, really? Lithgow Saint, never heard of it. Misconduct, never heard of it.
You're just proving my
Criminal,
point.
never heard of it. She was in one episode of Black Mirror.
Yeah, again, she vanished into obscurity and mediocrity because she ran her fucking mouth. Let's get back to the movie. Come on. Sorry, I
Wow,
cussed
dude.
Mom. Sorry, I cussed Mom.
Wow.
Keep your mouth shut. You virtue signaling woke ass. Never mind.
Dude, for real? You are being a toxic masculinity kind of guy right now. Anyway, so this is where we get the worst scene right here, where Scotty is pissed off because the military is sending them on a military mission in their in the military flagship.
His objection was primarily he wasn't going to blindly sign off. I mean, he had kind of valid reasons.
Hold on.
He's about to give them, actually.
Which would kill every living thing on this ship. Letting those torpedoes on board the Enterprise is the last straw.
What was the first straw?
There are plenty of straws. How about Starfleet
Pause it. That's too long. And Brian, that's the warp. That's their shitty version of the warp.
Yeah, that's supposed to be the warp core because reasons. It is actually, I can't remember. It's like it is some kind of scientific research thing.
It's probably like a Hadron's Collider or something.
But that they got permission to film that, which is kind of cool. But at the same time, it's not 23rd century tech.
Now some madman's using it to hop across the galaxy. Where do you think he got it from?
Orders, Scotty.
That's what scares me. This is clearly a military operation.
You're the military!
Again, same spot. He's literally about to say, I thought we were explorers.
Yeah, but
Is that what we are now?
yes! You've always been the military! You are the military! That's what Starfleet is!
Okay. You're gonna make me do it, aren't you?
Okay, you defend how Starfleet is freaking Greenpeace in space all day long.
We're explorers.
I know.
explorers.
You were wrong because you're the military. You enlisted. You went to the academy. You have a military rank on a
Space.
ship equipped.
The final frontier. These are the voyages of
Hold
the
on.
Starship
You're on a
Enterprise.
ship equipped
It's
with
5-year mission to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilization, not to fucking blow shit up.
And who defends the Federation? Who? Tell me right now.
I don't know. NAFTA, NATO. I don't know.
No, Starfleet.
I'm just kidding. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know the answer, and it's like but every they go out and explore, but guess what? The military. Guess who were explorers back when the world was unknown? The military.
And Randall, the beer brewery is still in this movie. This is just the Warp Core section.
Yeah, they show
the brewery a lot in this movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But they are the freaking military. I'm so sick of any argument.
Ariel, don't yell, honey. Don't yell. You're in the hospital. That's not good for you. Calm down. It's a shtick, man. It's nerd fights. Can't always agree on.
And Chief, you know what? They call it the Federation flagship in the last movie. They do call it that. It is canon. You don't like that it's not proper Navy speak, but this isn't the Navy.
Mako's in space.
No, Jeremy, in the next movie, they talk about how the Makos were disbanded and merged into Starfleet.
Because when he asked me that question last night, that's what I said was Mako's, and he said that. Again, supportsalty.com. There's a lot of gems we don't cover in these reviews.
Right, but the Makos, they do say in Star Trek Beyond, were merged into Starfleet. So the Starfleet is the only military that the Federation has. And so
look, really quick. If I don't mind going a little over, but I think we're going to have to break this up into 2 parts because I do have my AA meeting every night that I got to leave for in 45 minutes. And I don't think we're going to finish this in 45 minutes. So,
well, we'll try. We'll see how far.
Okay.
Which is fine with me if we don't watch Star Trek Beyond next week.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. Just trying to give you a way out there.
Right.
I like this scene. I thought this was cute. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's a funny little scene where Uhura reveals to Kirk.
Remember, it popped me. He's like, "My God, what's that even like?"
Yeah. Yeah, because what do you do if you have a cranky Vulcan on your hands? That's.
In fact, hold up. You've done it a few times. I'll do it correctly. Let's see.
Sometimes I want to rip the bangs off his head.
That's a good one.
Maybe it's me.
It's not you.
See, I paused it at exactly the right place. So don't. I just
paused it there.
No. I mean before you hit play. See, you is right at the beginning of this part of the conversation. So
yeah, here we go. It's like
it's not. Wait, are you guys fighting?
I'd rather not talk about it.
Oh my God, what is that even like?
It's funny. I mean, I'm sorry. That was funny. It
is, and I agree that a lot of the humor in this movie works. As a standalone movie, this is a good movie. It's just that it doesn't work with the Star Trek franchise.
So I like the Makos as well. And you know what, Creep? I don't remember. Is Creep correct here? Idris Elba's character was.
Idris Elba was a former Mako.
Because it's been like a good 8 years since I've seen that.
Yeah,
movie.
in that movie, Idris Elba's character was a Mako, and that's why it comes up in dialogue. And then he was a Mako when the Makos were merged into Starfleet, and so then he was made a Starfleet captain.
Oh, okay. All right.
And so, yes.
No, for not liking that movie, you sure got a really good recollection of it.
So?
I'm just saying.
I have a really good recollection of The Way to Eden, and I hate that episode. So.
Fair enough.
So the Enterprise leaves space dock with their new chief engineer, Chekhov. They're heading out to the Klingon homeworld. See, there's the brewery, just so you guys can see.
Yeah.
And so Kirk decides that despite his orders... I
don't like how they do... go back like where there's Enterprises in warp for a second, if you don't mind. This is very much how JJ depicts... I don't think they call it warp, but whatever it is in
it's hyperspace in Star Wars.
This is how this is how he shows hyperspace in Star Wars. This is not how Star Trek has shown warp speed. I don't like it. I don't like the little trails from the nacelles that we saw earlier, and I don't like this depiction of.
And Ariel Chekhov became the engineer in this movie because Scotty quits because he doesn't want to be a part of the military.
Yeah.
And so he literally resigns his commission as an officer.
Do you accept my resignation or not?
Yeah.
I do.
which you can't do that. It doesn't work that way in the military. You know, you don't get to just quit. But, you know.
Well, Ariel, to answer the second part of that question, Kirk, there's a line of dialogue. Kirk walks up to him and says, you know, other than Scotty, you've
been job shadowing with engineering, right?
Yeah.
Congratulations, you're my new chief engineer.
You're my new chief engineer. Yeah.
And I put on a red shirt.
Yeah, put on a red shirt, which go. You know what? I'm not going to repeat it. Just watch supportsalty.com.
Yeah.
I make tasteless jokes. But anyway.
Yes, but anyway, this version of warp speed does look a lot like hyperspace.
Yeah, I don't like it.
And in fact, if you look at hyperspace in movies like The Last Jedi, it looks almost exactly like hyperspace.
Exactly. Yeah. Again, you know, J.J. Abrams movies. So, you know, again, because
Last Jedi wasn't J.J. That was Ryan Johnson.
He was a producer, but still, you know, just to quote myself, this film serves as little more than a glorified audition tape for his later disastrous foray into Star Wars sequels. That's what this was. That's all this movie is. All these movies are.
I actually
didn't. He didn't know the first two because he doesn't do the third one. They give that to the Fast.
No, he does the first one and the third one. He doesn't do the second.
No, the Fast and the Furious guy did the third one.
Oh, you're talking about Star Trek. I'm talking about Star Wars.
Oh yeah, no, I'm talking about Star Trek. JJ did Star Trek Into Darkness, and then
and then Justin Lin did the third one. Yeah.
Did Beyond. Yeah. Because by then JJ was doing Star Wars.
Right.
That's all this was. This was his
honestly.
For
Star Trek Beyond probably would have been a better movie if JJ had done it.
Oh, that's blasphemy. Whatever.
It's true.
Okay. It's
not blasphemy if it's truth.
Okay. All right.
I'm sorry, but Beyond is so bad. You know, how many times do I say I don't want to watch something?
You know, Mr. Trent, I almost brought that up last night while we were watching this, but I figure, you know, he didn't quit Starfleet. He just quit the Enterprise. I don't know.
But you can't do that.
Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, so what? He's just taking an extended leave? That would be fine if Scotty said, then, you know, let me take leave while you're on this mission. You know, that would have been better dialogue to allow him to have this communicator and to have the authority to borrow a shuttle, which is true. I didn't even think about the shuttle. How did he take a shuttle?
Well, I was going to ask. I was like, why is it McCoy in Search for Spock was attempting to charter a ship, yet Scotty, you know, had no problem just getting his own private shuttle, you know, but I didn't bring it up because it was just like, you know.
Anyway, so then Spock confronts Carol Wallace about the fact that she's really Carol Marcus.
Well, he got all jealous and butthurt earlier. He's like, why do you need another science officer? Blah, 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 blah. So he looked into her. He did a little
right. But Kirk wanted her on there because she's hot. Because
you know, that's what J.J. Abrams thinks of Kirk. You know,
right. That's, you know, I don't like that. But yeah,
I don't either.
This is not freaking. You know, there are Kirk moments in this movie, but this is not Kirk.
Yeah, and quit with the metaphors already.
Yeah. You know, if you're gonna run the Kentucky Derby, you better not kill your prize stallion. And shut up.
You just set that man down at a high stakes poker game and told him to bluff. You know, whatever.
Yeah, with no cards. Yeah,
with no cards.
It's like, shut up, man.
He goes, enough with the metaphor. That's an order.
And so then you get they say, okay, everybody get on the ship we confiscated during the mud incident. Like you would say that over the comms.
Right. Captain, thanks for stopping by, man. Have a good night. Appreciate you.
And the reason they say that is because the mud incident is in the Countdown comics.
In the Countdown comic, which we talk about again.
Right.
Watch SupportSalty.com.
But here's this is the stupid thing about the Countdown comics. So like, they're just a cash grab because there's nothing about the Countdown comics that adds anything to this movie except that you know where the ship came from. You know.
I remember there being some kind of Spock moments, or at least I wrote about those in that review I took off the internet. So, but because I did read, because I was, you know, I had to include product placement for the review I did on the Cosmic Comics website because they were selling the comics at the time. So I had to read the comic book. Yeah, but I would have read it anyway, probably. But I remember having to read it.
But I'm just saying, it's a way. The comic, it doesn't add anything to the movie. because that's the only line where they even mention it.
Well, that and the Gorn, like later, I won't deliver.
And why would they even still have Mudd's ship on the Enterprise?
Yeah. Well, there's the baby Gorn delivery thing that.
Right.
Bones
But I think that's from the
references
video game, right?
Is it? Is it the video game? Yeah.
But yeah, so they. So then Uhura and Spock bicker on the
Have
shuttle.
a little lover spat.
Yeah.
And then Kirk's like, don't drag me into this. You know?
Yeah, but she's right. Yeah, so yeah. Right. Immediately after saying don't drag me into it, he gets into it.
He's like, but she's right. Yeah.
And let's see. And Chief Cook says there are many other episodes of Starfleet quitting. Really? Many? Name one.
Now I think you're dragging this out so you don't have to watch Beyond next
I mean,
week.
there's Insurrection where Picard, but that is Picard actually resigning. Even though he doesn't really resign because it's Star Trek civil disobedience. Anyway,
Right.
so they're going to Kronos, but it's not really Kronos because it's spelled with a K.
Yeah, that was what the. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
Really? You're going to F that one up? Come on.
Like Scotty in all Star Trek series. Oh, you're telling people quit? No, no, they don't. You had in the original series, you had Kirk fires Scotty, but I think that was metaphorical. It wasn't literally Kirk firing Scotty.
Oh yeah, and then he hires him again. And,
Yeah,
that was
But that was just
those were jokes, man. Those were, no paperwork was done.
Yeah. Like in TNG, during the series, I don't think did anybody quit during TNG.
Ariel says Worf did. She says that Worf resigned during the Klingon Civil War.
That's true. He did resign during the Klingon Civil War.
Yeah, let me give her full credit. There you go on screen.
Yeah,
that was Ariel. That said that.
But you say but Chief is saying that it happened all the time.
Yeah, it didn't.
Yeah,
but that's fine.
It was a pretty rare thing. Anyway, so then we get the Klingon D4s. Which are an interesting little ship. I think that they tried to over detail it, though.
I don't remember this question Brian has.
In TOS, did McCoy leave the Enterprise? Yes, that was for the world is hollow and I have touched the sky.
Oh, okay.
But that wasn't like I quit. That was McCoy was literally dying. Yeah, and so he was like, let me spend my last few months of life, happy with this woman. And Kirk, filed the paperwork and everything for him.
Yeah. Brian, for the world is hollow. Yeah.
But then Spock found the cure, and so McCoy's like, oh, screw that. So I'm back,
You're giving Chief crap, but people are starting to give us more examples. Data tried to resign when
Data tried to. The interesting thing is, Data tried to resign in Measure of a Man.
Yeah, somebody said that earlier in the chat. Also.
Yeah, and that was an interesting, but he never actually resigned, because basically.
That's Measure of a Man. When they,
yeah, and that was the interesting thing about that was then they asked the question: well, can Data resign? Can a computer refuse an upgrade? That kind of thing, which I think is an interesting question. I think Data is a piece of equipment.
Ooh, yeah. I remember us having this argument. In the past, vaguely. It was back in my drinking days, but I vaguely.
Data. I agreed with the summary judgment that Data is a toaster. I don't know if you remember that line, but she said that if you refuse to have the prosecute him, then I will go with the summary judgment. Data is a toaster and does not have the right to resign, because that was the whole point of the trial was, does Data have the right to resign his commission?
Yeah. And do you think they threw that toaster line in there as a jab at Battlestar? Or do you
No, because Battlestar hadn't come out. And
no, the original Battlestar had.
They didn't call them toasters in that one.
They didn't. Okay.
Yeah.
See, I still haven't seen the original.
Right.
So, yeah.
But so the Klingon D4s and the Millennium Falcon.
This really pissed me off last night when we were watching this.
We could have we should have had some straight up Star Wars music playing for this.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. Yeah.
Hey, the Klingon ships even
sounds like Star Wars.
Yeah,
man.
it sounded like a TIE fighter.
There are musical cues that sounded like Star Wars in the same scene.
Yeah.
The blasters. This sounds just like it's infuriating. Oh God.
Yeah, so the TIE fighter is chasing the Millennium Falcon into the Death Star.
Basically, yeah.
And so, and then he says, "Oh, we won't fit. We'll fit. No, we won't fit. We'll fit." And then they squeeze through. Which, I mean, it was, like, again, another fun moment, but at the same time,
this is not Star Trek. This is Star Wars. I didn't sign up for Star Wars. Gosh darn it! I signed up for Star Trek. It's totally different.
Now let me say, okay, so this is a good shot of the D4 here. Now I'll say this: I actually like the concept behind the D4. Notice it's a small Klingon ship, and I like the way they drop the troops out of it. Mm-hmm. But I think that there's way too much giblets on that wing.
Okay, Ariel, you can go back and view the video. It's on both our channels.
Don't even get me started about the Enterprise D trench run. Pisses me off so much.
We were not fans, okay?
Not fans. You drool over Picard season 3.
I do love Picard season 3, but it's not perfect. And in fact, remember I brought on a video. Remember,
the Enterprise D is an X-wing.
Dude, I know. Remember, I brought on the video where they put I can't stand it. I know you're playing it. Like it was like they put that song to the Enterprise D flying. You remember me showing you that, right? Yeah, we were roasting that, Ariel. So, I'm consistent. I don't want Star Wars in my Star Trek.
Yeah, and Ariel said you loved that scene. Yeah, he did. He loved it. Danny.
You know what? She's the only person that's ever donated money to me, so I'm just gonna say, you know what? Maybe she's right. I was a heavy drinker back then. I was a heavy drinker. Since then, I found God and I put the bottle away. So
Yeah. So maybe we'll rewatch Picard season 3 and you'll come to your senses. All right. So, but yeah. So like, if the wing on this D4 looked more like the wing on the classic Bird of Prey, I think this ship would have looked 10 times better.
Yeah. But
I just think
J.J. Abrams probably doesn't even know what that looks like.
Right.
So.
But I'm just saying, I like the overall design, but it's got too many giblets on it. You know what I mean? Like they're trying to overcomplicate it, and a ship design should be simple and elegant, and this almost was.
I know, right? This was almost cartoonish. This scene, creep. When one man defeats all of these Klingons and their ships, one dude, it was.
Yeah, I think they kind of overdid it with Khan. Look, Khan is.
Randall, perfect. He's OP. Totally. Yeah.
And I get that Khan is supposed to be like strong enough to hold that giant phaser cannon and stuff. And beat the crap. And in fact, I kind of like the scene where Kirk is just punching and punching and punching, and Khan's just like smugly standing there, because that is how tough Khan is supposed to be. But in Prime Universe, Kirk beat Khan down with a pipe.
Yeah.
And so I don't think Khan could take that much abuse and not feel it. He's not invulnerable. He's just. McCoy mentioned that he did have amazing recuperative powers. He was physically super strong. He could lift. He said that he estimated Khan could pick up 2 people with one arm. Right?
So that's funny you mentioned that. And Brian, if you want to know the answer, go to supportsalty.com because I actually looked it up and I give the answer online.
Yeah.
Live. Well, not live. It's recorded live, but anyway. But yes.
And Praxis is not a planet, it's a moon.
It's a moon, yes.
Yeah. But the so yes, I agree that this Khan is way too powerful. Mm-hmm. He's almost like Superman. He's Superman that can't fly.
Well, they do call him genetic Superman in Space Seed.
Yes, but when they use that term, they didn't mean like he was bulletproof.
Right.
Khan, like you said, Kirk beat him down with a pipe. And when Kirk wrestled Khan in engineering, it wasn't so one-sided that Khan could just was throwing Kirk around like a rag doll. Kirk got some licks in. It's just that Khan was too strong.
Well, that Khan had also only been thawed for a few days. His muscles were probably still atrophied.
Remember, Khan even said, "I have 5 times your strength. You're no match for me." And that's when Kirk pulled out the pipe and beat him down. Whatever. And Scotty, he sucker punched and knocked out one of the augments in Space Seed.
If we can just manage to review 10 more minutes of this movie, we'll be at a perfect halfway point to do a part 2. Just saying, just throwing that out there, and then you don't have to watch Beyond next week.
Yeah, fair enough.
All
right. So they're trapped, and so Uhura goes out to negotiate with the Klingons because she can speak Klingon. And
I called it. I was right when she effed up when she insulted the guy.
Right.
She didn't mean to, but she did.
And by the way, I will preemptively say, if you want to know why she can speak Klingon in this and not in Star Trek 6, you're going to need to go to supportsalty.com.
Because we talk about it there. That's right.
Yeah. And there is a definitive answer.
Yes.
There actually is a definitive answer that makes sense. So she starts out pretty good, talking about how they care about honor and there's a criminal living here that we're after, kind of thing.
They do kind of have that look, but you got to remember Orsi and Kurtzman did this movie, and Kurtzman's the one that went on to do Discovery. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm replying to Ariel. Let me put up her comment so you know why I said that.
They do look a lot like the Discovery Klingons, and I think for good reason. These are the prototypes.
Yeah.
These are what would become the Discovery Klingons. Which, I think that if Discovery had just gone with this look instead of taking it even further, I don't think fans would have been as upset.
Hold up, Stanley, there's homework, and then there's us shamelessly shilling for you guys to sign up for the paid Patreon service. So it's not really homework. It's just
it's shilling. It's not more than homework. But yeah, so then
that's not what pissed him off. She said something like, "You're in danger" or something. We can help you.
Right. Yeah. Right here.
Yeah. Right there. That's what pissed him off.
Right. Because he didn't.
Bitch, we ain't in danger from a human. Yeah.
Right. What she forgot to do was to say that this guy is, Superman, and so. That's the problem.
So he grabs her by the throat and is about to fillet her,
Yeah.
And then ironically, Khan saves the day.
And no, Chief, it has nothing to do with her age. If you're fluent in 17 languages, you don't suddenly become not fluent in those languages just because you're old.
Chief, go to supportsalty.com. It's less than a cup of coffee. Okay? Get your answers there. We're not going to tell you here for free.
Yeah. All right, so So because she insulted the Klingons, they get into a big old fight. But then Khan shows up and personally wipes out the Klingons.
All of them. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
Oh,
3
gosh.
ships and about 12 warriors on the ground. So Kirk does get one of them or 2. Spock gets like 1. Uhura stabs the one dude in the leg. So the rest of the crew get a couple of licks in, but Khan pretty much takes everybody down.
Yeah.
And then Khan voluntarily surrenders as soon as they tell him that they have 72 torpedoes. Which, if you haven't figured out that John Harrison is Khan by now, when they say 72 torpedoes, if you haven't figured it out then you're not a Star Trek fan.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that to be insulting. I'm just saying you would know, if you're a big fan, you would know that 72 is the magic number as far as how many life support canisters were working in Space Seed.
Yeah.
They made a big deal out of that. And Ariel says, Klingons are weaker than Vulcans since Spock can go toe-to-toe with Khan with no real trouble. I wouldn't say with no real trouble, but yes, Spock can go toe-to-toe with Khan.
Chief, go to supportsalty.com. It's the last time I'm going to say it, bro.
Yeah.
You want that?
You and I were kept clicking on it at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, Chief, we're not going to get into the actual answer, but I will say that ain't it.
Yeah.
So, I thought 42 was the answer. Well, 42 is the ultimate answer. So 42 is the answer to life, universe, and everything. 42 is not the answer to why Uhura could speak Klingon in this, but not in Star Trek 6. Anyway, so he voluntarily surrenders. They put all these guards on him, although let's be real, if Khan wanted to take them all out, he probably could.
Oh, yeah.
He's like Captain America. He can just bam, bam, bam. And so then, everybody's happy, Khan's in there. But they're still having trouble with the warp core because it broke down when they got to Klingon space. Mm-hmm. Which is not good for anybody. And so, McCoy is going to get a sample of Khan's blood to examine it because, we need that for later. And then I do kind of like this moment with Kirk and Khan where he's like, I was authorized to end you. You are only alive because I allow it, And technically, he's right.
Yeah.
How do I like the phaser pistols and rifles in this movie? I think the pistols are dumb. Yeah. The rifles look fine, but I don't like that they fire bolts.
We even said something about those pistols in the last movie because of that weird thing they do.
Yeah, they flip back between stun and kill. They only have 2 settings.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, you flip the barrel around a switch, which doesn't make a lot of sense. But anyway, I do kind of like this moment between Kirk, except that when Benedict is like, John Harriman is a fiction to hide my true identity. I am Khan. And it's and honestly,
no, it's funny. You said John Harriman is John Harrison.
Harrison,
but Chief Cook
John Harriman is the captain of the Enterprise
B. Yeah.
But he goes, I am Khan. And honestly, it would have been so much better if Kirk had just said, who?
And I'm telling you, he was like, I don't know. He reminded me of like, I am Shere Khan. Or like I am Scar. Like he looked and sounded like a Disney villain.
And he sounds like Smaug because he is Smaug.
The same guy. Yeah.
And if you've ever seen any of the mocap footage when he's playing Smaug, his mouth, he moves it exactly the same way as he does in the I Am Khan. when he's talking to Smaug.
Yeah, and then later in this movie, when he's on the bridge of the Vengeance, he gets like he does some weird shit with his face, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, and yeah, if he's I am Smaug, that would have been better. But yeah, Kirk should have said who, as opposed because he was obviously saying that for us, right?
Yeah.
And then he could have said something like, "Look up your history," you know.
Where were all the people bitching and complaining about the whitewashing of this character back in the day? Because
there were people that did.
Okay,
I was one of them. But remember, this movie came out before the super rise of social media.
Yeah, I guess.
You know,
It was still there, you know.
yeah, but not to the level we have it now. And so then Kirk reaches out to Scotty because communicators can now apparently communicate across the entire galaxy. Because he just whips out his communicator and calls Scotty, who just whips out his communicator, and they're talking in real time, even though the Enterprise is in Klingon space. That makes no sense whatsoever that they're talking in real time right now.
And Brian, I'm sorry I just now saw this because we passed that scene already, but I agree that it would be better. Why would you design a brig as crew members at a lower position? The cells wouldn't be better to be eye level or above.
Well, no, but because that way the crew members can blow them if they want to.
Oh, God. Oh, my God. Dear sweet baby Jesus. And with that, folks, I think we are going to conclude part 1 of Star Trek Into Darkness because Salty has just gone into darkness with that.
I hate this movie. That's the problem. This movie is an absolute wreck. Like, you see how Kirk looks like he's constipated and trying to squeeze one out right now? That's how this movie makes me feel the whole time.
Tell me how you really feel. Don't hold back. Oh, my God.
Well,